In our lead story at 8, the bail application of 5 of the 7 suspects linked to the murders of rapper Kiernan aka Forbes and Tebello Tibz Murders is expected to start in the Durban Magistrates Court today. The suspects are facing charges of murder, attempted murder, illegal possession of firearms and ammunition, as well as money laundering. Forbes and Motsoane were gunned down outside a Durban restaurant in February last year. The accused are Lindoguhle Mkwanazi, Lindani Ndimande, Eddie Mieza, Mziwetemba Gwabeni and Lindoguhle Ndimande. Now, South Africa has yet to complete the application for the extradition process of the remaining 2 accused who recently appeared in the Motsoane Magistrates Court in eSwatini. Let's cross now to our reporter Jayed Paulse, who's outside the Durban Magistrates Court. Jayed, of course, as the time ticks by, it's getting closer to that formal bail application. Any developments as yet?
Well, welcome back to Durban, Sakina, and yes, we've actually come inside Courtroom 12, and in the last court appearance, we did see the magistrate asking for a bigger courtroom, and I suppose that was to allow family members, the general public, as well as the media to be able to be all seated and to fit inside the courtroom. But today we are expecting that formal bail application for the 5 of the 7 suspects involved in the hit of AKA, and today we're going to be also seeing who exactly gets bail. But we also need to unpack the 12 charges, Sakina. It is attempted murder, conspiracy to commit murder, and then another charge was given on that charge sheet, and that's the charge of money laundering. To break this all down for us and to explain the possibilities that could come out of this formal bail application, as we know 2 of the suspects are also facing other charges in a different matter, I am joined by our legal expert, Abigail Ngubeni. Thank you so much for making the time, Abigail. A lot to unpack today. We are expecting the formal bail application. We do know that some of the suspects are also charged or face pending cases. What do we see the outcomes of today?
Well, it's going to be a long day, depending on how many of the accused persons will be making an application today. And I think part of the things that is of importance is that the strategy that the police used, and they made that known to the public, they said they linked these accused persons to other cases. We don't know the gravity of such cases. We don't also know whether on those cases are they already convicted or they remain pending cases. And if they are convicted, the likelihood of them getting to apply for bail in this court today are very slim. But of course, you'll remember that everyone has a right to bring an application before court for the court to consider. But issues such as previous convictions, pending cases are amongst many things that in terms of Section 60 of the Criminal Procedure Act, the magistrate looks at for him to determine their eligibility to be admitted to bail.
I want to talk about the Ndimande brothers, the ones that are in eSwatini who have yet to be extradited or deported to South Africa. And then there are the other 2 who are related, the other 2 Ndimande brothers who are related in this matter and will be seated in court today. Do you think that the fact that they are related, that could hinder the possibility of them also receiving bail, as they will be deemed a flight risk as their cousins or family members? We're not yet sure the relation there.
Remember, there's also a charge of conspiracy to commit murder. And that should tell you that there was an orchestration behind the scenes. And the circumstances around which these offenses were committed will be the things that the court will take into consideration. The fact that these brothers are related does not necessarily play a role that they are siblings, but their involvements, their actions, their coordination. What did the mastermind, the guy that is called a mastermind and a coordinator, do to ensure that he monitored their movements, whether their passport, we will hear that, whether their passports to Eswatini were stamped or they used the illegal way of getting to Eswatini. You remember in the matter of Magudumana that the passports were not stamped and they were able to pass via the 4 border gates. And those are the things that the court in that particular application for bail considered to say, if they are admitted to bail, are they able or are they likely to stand trial until it's finished?
With regards to the mastermind, now we heard that he paid over 800,000 rand to the other 4 suspects in this particular matter. I want to talk about the other charge of money laundering. Why do you think the state has, charged them with money laundering? Is it because of the involvement of Gwabeni paying the other suspects? It's quite an interesting charge.
In terms of that particular act upon which they are charged of money laundering, it prohibits anyone from using what is deemed to be the proceeds of crime. And if they were able to crack that past part of evidence to say there was a crime that was committed, and out of that crime there are proceeds that were divided amongst the brothers or amongst everyone who is there, it in itself, even if they were not involved in murder or in what we call conspiracy to commit murder. I'm sorry about conspiracy to commit murder. Even if they were not involved in that, it is important that we note that they benefited out of crime. They used the proceeds of crime to their benefit. So on that regard, they are bound to be charged with money laundering.
The 4th suspect, Gwabeni, is said to be the orchestrator and the mastermind, and we've seen AKA's father, Tony Forbes, saying that he does not believe that Gwabeni is in fact the mastermind, that the mastermind has yet to be apprehended by police. The likelihood of him getting bail today, being seen as the orchestrator and the one that actually pulled this plot together?
It will be very difficult and it will be very challenging. He'll have to come and prove that there are exceptional circumstances. And exceptional circumstances is not just personal circumstances. You can't come and say, I have a child. I want to be released because my child is suffering outside. He needs to come. One, they will have to check the strength of the state's case, how he coordinated this, how he managed to pull this together, and if there is any payment from somewhere that he received. We are hopeful that police said they don't rule out more arrests. They don't rule out as well that other accused persons can be brought before the court. So we're not so sure whether he was the source of this particular amount that was divided amongst them. And if he wasn't, where did he get the money? Were the police able to get into his bank account? Remember that they will be bringing IOs, people that we call investigating officers, to come to this court and testify to say, according to their investigation, they feel that his role in the entire matter, if he was to be released on bail, he's not going to be able, they're not going to be able to finish their investigations. There are some of the things that will hamper the investigations from going on. And if that happens, then he may not be eligible to be admitted to bail.
It's going to be very interesting to see how that all transpires in court today and exactly what the role and the mastermind played in this particular case as the state prosecutor examines this. Thank you so much for joining us, Abilene Gubene. Thank you so much for giving us your legal eagle eye and giving us the information. So it's going to be very interesting, Sakina, as Abigail said, there a lot's going to come out today, and I think all eyes will be on that 4th suspect, Gwabeni. We are told that he is the orchestrator and said mastermind behind the plot to kill AKA, although people are not believing this, but the state says that he did in fact pay over 800,000 rand to the other 4 suspects to carry out the plot. We'll keep you abreast to the latest information as court is expected to start at 9 o'clock. Sakina, it's back to you.
Thank you so much, Jayed, and for that analysis. And Jayed Paulse following up on that story for us. Our eyes and ears in that Durban Magistrates Court.